welcome everybody. This is actually a live queue, or maybe not live, I'm not even sure, but it's right above our studio here at the Nexon Arena down in Gangnam.
Yeah, man, said it's live. This is what it looks like if you come down to Korea and you want to come watch StarCraft. You come to this giant building in the basement. We got a really sick studio. And today we have a couple sick matches as well.
This is actually kind of insane. I mean, this is literally where we're at right now, where this is taking place in Seoul. So if you guys are in Korea or you're planning on making a trip, come down here. You can take a look at the city. You can take a look at Gangnam. This is literally right outside our studio right now, what you guys are taking a look at right here. And there's a lot of stuff nearby to do. And of course today, we're going to be having Prime versus sKyHigh as our starting match.
Sick, man. I cannot wait for this one. We've got a couple really great lineups coming to you guys as well. We're going to get into introducing those two teams in just a bit. But I do want to mention once again, you were talking about the crazy view. But guys, if you do have time, come down to Korea. Come watch the games live. You can come down to Gangnam. It's got a lot of shopping to do. It's a great tourist area as well. There's just so much to do down here. I mean, I love the fact that we can get a view like this.
This is a Monday you guys are looking at here. A Monday night in Seoul. In Gangnam looks just like this. You can see the people on the street. You can see the buses, the cars. It's a very busy city. There's a lot going on all the time. And now inside the studio here, on the left side of things, we've got the Prime team, currently 0-2 with a -3 indicator. This team trying to make it work this season, but has been struggling so far.
Yeah, I really like some of the players they're throwing out there, really showing some of the new talents. But again, they do have to pull it together. They're going up against sKyHigh. So far, they are 2-0. I believe they're tied with SKT for first place with that +4 indicator, and they've got a sick lineup today as well. Today's first matchup is going to be MyuNgSiK versus sKyHigh, as you do see them shaking hands on the stage.
Now for Prime, this is really important because going 0-2, if you go 0-3, you're almost certainly not going to be able to make it to that round 1 playoffs. And if you're sKyHigh, things are really important too because you are vying for first place. You're vying for control of round 1 and that dominant factor of just taking that first place spot and saying, we are the team to watch out for. And when you're up against the weakest team so far that we've seen here, you want to make sure that you can get the best indicator possible. So they bring their A game today. They bring their 4 strongest players, in my opinion, and they are looking to try to smash Prime today. They want to get a 3-0, but for Prime, the situation is much more dire. They really, really need to win. No matter what the indicator, they absolutely need one right now.
Yeah, I do believe they have brought 3 of their best players, plus Terror. So they really are trying to, build this lineup. They're trying to actually get some wins while at the same time build up this guy Terror, who has shown some decent talent in the past. He's still having trouble with some of his nerves. But again, they just keep on putting him out here for a reason. They're trying to get him experience, trying to get him not nervous in that booth so they can have a solid 4th player for that lineup.
Now, just taking a look at some of our CJ players here. Hush, there's Biel, we'll be playing a little bit later today. There's Terror on the left side of things. Terror, a player that we've been really critical of in the past, but I feel like the other side of the coin, which we have mentioned a few times, is that because Gerard has fielded him so consistently, there must be something, there's some potential hidden, locked away, and we're just waiting to see that. Now, the starting match will be MyuNgSiK versus sKyHigh. They'll be going into Yoda, but this time instead of a TBT, he has to play against Hero.
Yep, crazy match. Hero, the best player on the sKyHigh team at the moment, but again, you can argue that Yoda is the best team for Prime, so I'd say that's probably the best matchup of the night. And after that, we are going to have Terror versus Biel on Foxtrot Labs. Another great matchup. We'll see if Terror can piece together some kind of ZVZ while Biel is pretty strong in that matchup. And then we go straight into Creator, a guy who hasn't been doing too well. I'm kind of surprised actually by that arrow, the upwards yellow arrow there, but we will have to see. He's going to be up against Byung, a guy who's also just kind of playing it steady these days.
Yeah, he's playing it steady, not looking as dominant as he did last season, but you can't forget his last season's performances. They're so incredible, especially his performances on Outboxer in particular, one of the strongest Terrans in the world last year. So going into Merry-Go-Round will be our ace match if we come to it. But with the lineup that CJ has brought here, man, it's going to be pretty tough to imagine that scenario.
Yep, and here we do have the overall results so far. SK Telecom T1 and sKyHigh tied for first place right now with a +4 indicator. Now keep this in mind, sKyHigh has won twice, once against KT, right?
I believe so.
and another team here. So they
against
are
MVP the second time, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. So 2 strong teams. They've already gotten a couple of wins over SK Telecom as well. So these guys, you know, they've defeated some of the stronger teams. They're going to try to defeat some of these weaker teams as well. But today, at least, for today, CJ Entus is playing against Prime, whereas SK Telecom is going up against KT.
Yeah. And KT, by the way, that -4 indicator down there in the O2 is a pretty bad indicator, I feel like, of where their skill level is still at right now. But it doesn't matter, actually, you know, how well they are actually doing outside of this league. If they can't perform here, they're going to be in 8th place. So we're going to jump into this coach interview right away here with IU, of course, our interviewer, and our 2 coaches.
프라임 그리고 CJ 엔투스 감독님 만나보겠습니다. 안녕하세요, 박예식 감독님.
네, 안녕하세요.
새해 맞이는 잘하셨나요?
So we're going to talk to Gerard first, the Prime coach.
오늘 첫 질문은요. 오늘 엔트리가 다소 공격적이에요. 초반 원투펀치를
Your entry today seems a little bit aggressive.
일단 선수들이 일단 가장 좀 자신 있어 하는 맵 위주로 하다 보니까 일단 뭐 지금 가장 기대가 좋은 2 선수가 일단 1경기에 출전하게 됐는데 그래도
They picked the roster by actually asking which maps the players were confident on.
승리도 할지 않을까 예상합니다.
And the order is based directly on the maps that the players have chosen.
Well, talking to Coach Park, of course, saying Happy New Year. I hope all of you had a Happy New Year as well.
가장 어렵게 생각하는 상대가 있으신가요?
Who do you fear the most today? The entries that we have. Actually, he's asking about the teams. SK and Jin-Air he mentions as the 2 teams.
다음 이어지는 경기가 SKT와 KT와 SKT의 경기잖아요.
So the next matches that we're going to have, of course, are those telecom wars, the SK and the KT. So which team do you cheer for in that upcoming match? He's actually saying KT.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he wants to be on the top. He wants to be ahead of SK.
3세트, 4세트를 맡고 있습니다. 그래서 선수들도 굉장히 긴장을 많이 하고 있을 것 같아요. 특별히 조언해 주신 게 있으신가요?
일단 연패를 하고 있는 선수한테 일단 제가 좀
Any comments to the players who may feel nervous today?
저번 주 경기가 끝나고 그리고 지금 전지현 선수 같은 경우는 저번 시즌과 이어서 지금 계속 연패를 하고 있기 때문에 오히려 긴장할 건 없다고 생각합니다. 오히려 본인이 더 이상 잃을 건 없다 생각하고 있기 때문에.
Talking about Terror, he's had a losing streak for quite a while now.
네, 두 선수에게 많은 응원 부탁드릴게요.
He said he especially has been talking to Terror and trying to give him confidence. He's also been talking to all of his players and just trying to cheer them up because they're all kind of losing matches in Pro League these days.
오래전부터 사실 조병생 선수는 지난 프로리그 4라운드 때부터 계속 타이밍을 봐서 프로리그에 출전을 시켜야겠다. 이미 뭐 준비한 적도 있었고요.
So he's talking about one of the players, sKyHigh, that's right, showing some really strong timings. In the this is his first time playing in this. He's been playing it for a long time. He's been preparing to play in Pro League for a long time, but this is his first time appearing. And he was talking about someone else in their last season of the 4th round, but I actually couldn't quite catch it. But hey, thanks for coming down. You guys can actually grab a headset and listen to us in English if you want. So they might actually go do that, man.
He's like scratching his head. He's like, oh, I forgot to do that. Oh,
Take a pic of himself on TV.
Nice picture there.
Yeah.
And people of all ages, all races, from anywhere in the world can come down to the Nexon Arena. It's totally free.
Absolutely.
The English commentary things are also free. You do not have to pay for that. You do have to give in your ID.
Yeah, that's all you need.
It's just a trade. You get it back.
Yeah, just make sure you bring an ID with you, some sort of like photo identification, and you can just go ahead and grab all those headsets. It's free. You can use it. You know, if you want to get the full Korean experience as well, that's totally fine. Whatever suits you the best. Just come down here. You can listen to us. And, you know, like I said before, this is the Gangnam area, so you come down here, and there's so many things to do nearby. So many
Yeah.
great areas to get good food, as well as, if you're into the party scene, there's a lot of, clubs nearby.
Oh, of course.
There's even some tourist attractions.
If you're coming with your girlfriend, your wife, a girl who's your friend, they have so many places to shop around here. They're not interested in StarCraft. You're like, hey, let's go down to Gangnam one day. I want to watch StarCraft. You can do whatever you want. There's just so much here to do.
Yeah.
So many distractions for your friend.
Yeah, there really are. I mean, you could drop your girl off at the jewelry store or whatever and come down here. You pick her up later. Definitely recommended. But more highly recommended than that is to get your girl into StarCraft because then you can further your relationship.
I'm saying like worst possible situation here. If they are not into StarCraft, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. Maybe it's time to have that talk.
Quite possibly. But guys, we are going to go ahead and introduce our players here. Our first player of the night for Prime is MyuNgSiK. Hasn't had the greatest record here so far. He's 6-12. He's lost one game against Terran, though. He's only played one game, so we're going to get a little, sneak peek into his PvT here.
Yeah, let's see how cheesy this guy is in this matchup these days, because his most famous PvT matchup he's played recently was against TY, where he did the all-in into the all-in into the all-in. On Nimbus. So would expect to see something similar out of him today on Sejong, but we could just see Phoenix Colossus style because he's shown that before in PvT as well. A very, very strong Protoss, very underrated, and hopefully, on Prime he can end up being one of their star players, if you will. Up against sKyHigh, one of the strongest Terran versus Terran players we had here at the end of 2014. A huge breakout performance at the Hot 6 Cup, playing much better than people expected him to. This guy was a Brood War hero, one of the oldest CJ players left alive on their roster, and now finally making his mark in StarCraft 2. 1-5 versus Protoss, and 9-15, as you guys could see, in total of Pro League.
Yep. Cannot wait to see how much confidence he has today. I'm sure he has noticed the fact that MyuNgSiK is a big cheeser, especially against Terran these days. He's definitely going to have to keep that in mind. Sejong Station has a lot of areas to cheese, to proxy, even though it is a two-player map.
Absolutely, Valdez. Well, it's time to get this one started. Prime desperate for a win. CJ just trying to get the best indicator possible here. Let's go into map number 1, King Sejong Station.
Down here in the bottom right in the red, the Protoss player for Prime, it is MyuNgSiK.
If you don't give up, nothing's impossible, that sign says. Now to the top left in blue, it's sKyHigh for CJ Entis. This guy, like I said, a long-standing history with CJ, and for that reason, definitely a great practice partner, even though he was never in the spotlight in StarCraft 2 until just recently. Definitely somebody who's been helping players out. When you look at a player like Byung and you see, wow, this guy's doing so well for so long, and we haven't really seen sKyHigh. I bet part of the success of Byung is having a ton of practice with sKyHigh, being able to theory craft with sKyHigh, talking to sKyHigh, and I'm so happy that we finally get to see this guy. All the training he's put into, and like Coach Park was saying earlier, all the preparation he's been going into to try to get into Pro League, finally paying off.
Yeah, it's great to see. I mean, on the opposite side of that as well, sKyHigh is showing Byung a thing or two, but I'm sure sKyHigh is getting a lot of teaching from, Protoss is on his team, such as Hero, especially for a map like this. I'm sure those two were practicing over and over and over for their matches, especially since Hero is facing a Terran as well.
Yeah, that's actually a great, great point. I'm sure the two of them definitely had a lot of talks going into this one. Obviously, different maps. But just, talking about the matchup in general, you get a lot of different ideas that way. Oh, he came from Daegu, man.
Yeah, that is outside of Seoul. I believe that's about 3 hours away.
Something like that.
By bus.
Yep. So a few different ways to take it. Most people do come by bus. So we're going to see a probe scout here off Gateway. Going to come down here. We'll see the SCV scout come out. He's also going to be able to confirm that there's a gas. It's not a gas first. And if he sees the Reaper making, probably be pretty certain that's a Reaper, not a Marine. A pretty good scout there, you know, pretty good assumption to assume that's a Reaper and not a Marine.
Also, sKyHigh himself scouting out very carefully, very early even, with that SCV that's coming out to the base of MyuNgSiK. He wants to scout around his base, make sure there's no proxying going on, no pylons, no funny business. He definitely knows about MyuNgSiK's tendency here to be a little bit cheesy.
Yeah, and you know the thing about this scout for the probe of MyuNgSiK is he also got to see that the SCV was a bit concerned about that, so that might make him think, ooh, he's already a little bit nervous about what I might throw on him, so maybe I should play some mind games going into this one. All right, so SCV now in the main. We'll scout those pylons. Doesn't deny the Nexus. The Nexus goes up without a hitch. And the Mothership Core is on the way to help deflect this Reaper that's about to pop in here to help out with that scouting.
Yep. Really cool placement on that Cybernetics Core and pylon, actually. It blocks that lip so that the Reaper cannot jump up on the right side. That can be very useful, especially a little bit later on as the Reaper, you know, could jump in later, try to see the tech of the Protoss. Once again, we talked about this many times before, how the Terran always has to be a bit scared of the multitude of many different proxies, different builds, different ways to kill the Terran.
Yeah.
And using the Reaper is one way to try to protect yourself against that, get into the base, scout the Protoss out, but this will definitely take away some of that scouting power.
That's absolutely true, you know, and you may wonder, you know, why don't Protosses always do this to block the Reaper? Well, this is a great Reaper map, and if you place your Cybernetics Core like this, if it's a rushed Hellion drop, for example, your buildings don't make a SimCity as quickly, so that's the downside of this. But I feel like just based on the way we've seen sKyHigh play in the past, as well as the fact that this is such a great map for Reapers, you can kind of rule that out. And the Reaper's actually, because of this, not been able to get any scouting information whatsoever. Now he's going to go for it, but Hail Mary here, go over there, buy that pylon. We'll see if you can see that Twilight Council. 2 Stalkers out, but they're not in position, and he will scout that Twilight Council.
Gets that scout. Very, very important. You know, one of the other things about putting your Cybernetics Core over there is that you don't make that wall behind your base. So the Reaper can just walk around, and the Stalkers will have a much harder time of stopping the Reapers. So really nice scout here by sKyHigh. Sees the tech. There is a robo on the way as well.
He didn't see that. I just checked. He does not know about the robotics.
That's what I was curious about. The one thing I have been noticing of sKyHigh, from the beginning of this game, we mentioned it before, he is still scouting. He had that SCV on the left side of his base as well. He's sending his Marines out, scouting the right side once again. He's scared.
He does not want to die to a Blink Stalker all-in. Blink Stalker all-ins on this map are insanely strong. And, you know, without seeing the robo, he has no reason to believe that this could be an expand build. You know, he can't reasonably assume that's the case without that information. So for him, he has to keep checking. He wants to see if there's any forward pylons going up, if he can see any stalkers. And doing a counter drop like this is a great middle ground against a build like this, because if it is a big all-in, he's not going to have the units at home to defend. And if it's not, then you scout, you can maybe get a little bit of damage done, and you're not as concerned.
Yeah, and the other part of this is, like you said before, he didn't see that robo, so he may be like, oh, you're not going to have detection if you're rushing this out. I can just throw this in your main base, and it can cause so many problems. Unfortunately for him, he does have the robo, so MyuNgSiK will be able to get that down, but he does find that pylon, and that is going to take away a bit of that pushing power if MyuNgSiK decides to go aggressive. He is adding 3 gateways here, so definitely do have that possibility on the way.
You know, this is a ton of damage potential, a ton of warp ends once we get to that point. Let's see how much damage this gets done first. Here comes that medevac. There's only 2 stalkers here, and he does not have an observer nearby. That's the first Widow Mine going down. Good pull here by MyuNgSiK. There's the Nexus Cannon. Going to help out a little bit as well. A few probes going down here. Not too many, just 3. And this will be warded off. Medevac is saved, but meanwhile, Marines actually get dropped into the natural. He's got a second set of units just nearby to actually help out and support.
Does have that observer over here now. Only getting 1 extra probe kill is pretty nice, but he's got to get that into the main base. He has to clear out these 2 Widow Mines as well.
Yeah. Now there's already right now 6 stalkers, excuse me, on the map. Ooh, getting a few more kills here, actually.
Oh, that's more than a few, man. Going up to 12.
That's a bit sloppy here, actually, not taking that out. So
I guess he didn't time it quite right. I guess he thought he had some time here to actually clear it out once he got that observer in. So losing a lot of probes here is MyuNgSiK. And we got a follow-up drop coming into the natural.
And now all that stalker pressure that he wanted to put on that follow-up attack is just not reasonable anymore. He's lost too many probes. He doesn't have the production to do this as well as he would like to. And now, with all this pressure, that sKyHigh's putting on here, he has to sit back and defend. He is sending a small group of stalkers, meanwhile, across the map to attack. Well, there's already a defense set up. 4 barracks are being added right now, so he's going to have a ton of extra protection at home as well. That bunker is ready. Worker count right now is 45 to 38 in favor of sKyHigh, who not only has 2 orbitals and 2 mules he can drop, but is about to have a 3rd ready and completed, and he's not done pressuring yet.
Yep, here we go, another drop in the main. And what is here to defend? Absolutely nothing. Actually laying on the probe pull here as well. Not even fully pulling them away, getting so many probe kills is sKyHigh at the moment. He is doing just irreparable damage right now.
Yeah, well, it looks like he was so focused on his stalker control in the middle of the map where he lost another one to a Widow Mine. Trying to blink away, do something fancy there. I think he tried to like micro on the minimap or something there. Accidentally clicked on his Nexus. This drop will actually get cleaned up pretty easily here, but see if he can take a stalker with him or some probes. Whatever he can get done is going to be fine. MyuNgSiK now in an almost unwinnable position. He's going to try to blink forward here. He's going to eat a ton of AoE damage on this Widow Mine. He has an Observer nearby, and there's units to knock it in the bunker, so this is his opportunity to try to make something happen, try to catch up.
Yep, he's doing a really nice amount of damage, but at the same time, he's taking more probe kills back at home, going up to 14.
Oh, unpowered gateways really hurts his production as well.
Yep. The follow-up here on this push is definitely going to be weakened by 3 gateways being unpowered.
He's going to have to try to swing the hammer here. But there's triple mules, so any SCVs he picks off are not that important. He really just needs to do critical damage to the army and then try to win the game from there. So we're going to force a lot of SCVs to pull. He has to blink up now. Oh, and now he can never get up there without high ground vision. He may try to burst this bunker down at the natural, though. That's a lot of firepower on these stalkers. Taking the SCVs out already.
Taking out a lot of SCVs. The medevac's flying in. He takes out 2.
And another observer's here. Uh-oh, this could be trouble for sKyHigh.
This is MyuNgSiK, man. Once the all-in begins, it never ends until the game is over.
All right, Scan goes down here. He's trying to eliminate that observer if he can. A few more SCVs starting to fall, but again, this is not the most important thing because there are triple mules. He's going to have to try to break through, but he can't. He just can't quite make it.
There's too many SCVs here. He's got no sentries in this mix as well. He can't even force field that off. Finally, the Mothership Core is here.
Mothership Core is here. It's going to help with vision. Could also give him a time warp, but he's about to be up against combat shields, and Stim is not far away. +1 is done. Now just trying to pick away on this orbital. It's going to force it to lift.
Yeah. It's quite clear right now that sKyHigh knows, like, as long as I can defend this push, I will be okay. I will be very far ahead.
All right, here comes another push. He's just not still enough. He does not have enough damage to burst that bunker down with a full surround repair. And sKyHigh might actually consider doing a drop soon because he's got so many units, and he knows all of the units of MyuNgSiK are here. He just scanned to confirm. He's like, wow, you're even making Zealots here. The Warp Prism is being queued up right now. Maybe he could try to drop some Zealots into the main to disrupt some mining there. But this push for now, I think, is going to have to end. I think he's scared of a drop coming back to his base.
As well as Stim. It's about to finish up here, as well as concussive shells, so can be a bit scarier, a bit harder for the Stalkers to run. MyuNgSiK may try to do some poke damage, maybe even try to blink into the main once these units do move out of sKyHigh.
To give you guys an idea of the damage done here, only 10 workers killed by MyuNgSiK versus 30 were killed by sKyHigh. All right, there's the double blink over here, coming at an unexpected angle, and this army is a bit out of position, so he's going to get several SCV kills here. And he's just continuing to blink away, but this is a ton of stimmed bio. He might just have to recall here, and there it is.
Taking 21 SCV kills there, that is a huge amount of damage. But again, he's got no third base. And I don't know, I would have liked to see actually sKyHigh just move his SCVs, wait for the army to come back and fight because I mean, he didn't really need to take that damage, but regardless.
MyuNgSiK just really knows exactly what to do. Out of each step of his all-in starts to fail, he knows the next step. As soon as now Byung's like, or excuse me, not Byung, sKyHigh's like, finally, I can move out. He's like, okay, well, guess what? Now you have to move some of your army back here. I got a Warp Prism. I'm threatening you. I've already got Colossi on the way to help for your push that's coming across. Now, don't get me wrong, sKyHigh is way ahead here, but MyuNgSiK really knows, how to execute this step by step when your all-in isn't working.
Yeah, he's going to try to go ahead and make a bunch of sentries, try to block off this ramp. He does have that Mothership Core. I'm wondering actually what the energy is on that right now.
Just enough for one. Just enough for one time warp or one Nexus cannon. He goes for the cannon instead. And this is just a ton of stimmed bio coming through here. Going to have to target appropriately.
Oh, that Widow Mine shot was gigantic. The Marauders getting close enough to hit onto that Colossus at the same time. Some of those Widow Mines in the back haven't even fired.
Yeah.
He's trying to fight here with the probes.
Way too much damage, way too much burst. The Nexus falls. The next Colossus isn't even out. GG.
sKyHigh, man. I don't know. Like, he's playing so well. I actually picked MyuNgSiK to win this one, but sKyHigh proving me wrong. He is more than just a TVT sniper. This guy is beginning to be built up more and more by CJ Entus and becoming a very strong player.
You know, MyuNgSiK tried to throw him for a loop, but he was scouting constantly. And he scouted the Blink, research. He scouted the Twilight Council. Didn't see the Robo, but he just prepared carefully. He's moved across the map just to test the waters. He got way too much damage done, and I feel like part of this comes down to that sloppy second Widowmine wave in the main base, where those two Widowmines got a ton of probes. We went up to 12 in total, and that hurts your pushing power. It's hard to say if MyuNgSiK was going to try to transition earlier than that, or if that's what pushed him over the edge to try to do